Hello and welcome back to the B4 podcast, where we are celebrating Beverly's 400th anniversary by talking to the people and organizations that make our city such a unique and amazing place to live. It is somehow September, which means that we are officially 3 months away from the start of Beverly's 400th year.
Exciting.
We're also 1 month out from the Beverly 400 Golf Tournament fundraiser. I did want to bring that up. It is happening Monday, October 20th. Everything raised at this event will go towards the celebrations planned for 2026. So if you love Beverly and you also love golf, boy, do we have an event for you. Check it out on our website. We're looking for foursomes. We're looking for sponsorships. And definitely also just check out our website in general. There's a calendar of events. There's info on our legacy projects. There's a ton of information, and it's beautifully designed by my fellow board member, Medley Long, so go give it a scroll. All right, so I'm like out of breath. Today, I am sitting down with Andrew DeFranza, Executive Director of Harborlight Homes, a true local hero doing amazing work in our community. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Very nice to be here. I'm not sure about the local hero part, but it's very sweet.
Well, I mean, you can prove it to us over the next 10, 20 minutes.
No stress.
No big deal. All right, we'll start light. What is your connection to Beverly? How did you find your way here?
Yeah, so it's not a long story, but maybe an older story. So I came to Massachusetts. I'm from New Jersey originally.
New Jersey.
Yes, and everybody knows locally, or they occasionally complain that I am a Giants fan.
Wow.
And so that has come up, especially around 2 Super Bowl victories or defeats, depending on how you look at it.
Fair enough.
But I do root for the Red Sox now, so people always ask about that. But I came from New Jersey. I came to go to graduate school here, and I was living in the area, and my first connection to Beverly was I was interviewed to work as the outreach director for Beverly Bootstraps.
Oh, nice.
And at the time, we were buried in the bottom of the First Baptist Church. We were in the basement, and I took that job. I was 24, maybe. This would have been like 98.
Okay, you were just a
Summer of
baby.
98, I was just a baby.
Yeah.
And I took that job, and that was my entree into the Beverly community, and have sort of been in love with the city since then.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've lived here this whole time?
Almost. So
Okay.
I've been here most of the last, not quite 30 years. I had a 3-year stint where I was exiled to the Midwest briefly.
Oh, that will happen.
And that was tough, yeah. So I was there for just under 3 years, and then quickly scuttled back home.
Very nice.
At which point I thought of Beverly as home, and so I came right back. So I lived, before we left, we owned a condo. First house I ever owned. I owned a condo on Judson Street behind the Cabot.
Oh, cool.
That we gut renovated while being in grad school, while working full time. This is pre-children, mind you.
Gotcha.
And then left for the 3-year exile, and then came back and bought a house on Goat Hill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we allowed you back in.
It was very wonderful.
Great.
Yeah.
And please share a little bit about your journey. What led you to the field of affordable housing? What led you to Harborlight?
Okay. Yeah, so that's a longer story as well. So short version is my parents are wonderful people. Very blue collar. My mom's a hairdresser. She's 81. She still works 2 days a week. My father's a carpenter, or does not work anymore. Should not be. Though 85 years old, he's still cutting the grass. So they were very sort of serious people about what they thought they were supposed to be doing in the world and their faith commitments. And so when I was a little kid, they adopted my middle brother, who was 2 at the time, and they took me with them to pick him up. Where he's Colombian, so it's me, and then my middle brother's adopted. Then my mother had a baby in her early 40s,
Wow.
which was sort of a shocker at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't know, like, working class people didn't go to third world countries or South American countries to adopt children, and so I didn't know that. So, but we did, and they took me, and so I went with them and picked up my brother John, he'll be 45 this month. And so they did that, and they also used the proceeds of a house my father built to do that process, which at the time was not common in the late 70s. And they also did, they tore down my grandmother's house, which was small and full of termites. She was by herself, Social Security, and then rebuilt a house so she could live in that house. And we lived in that house with her, or she lived with us, and my brother lived there. And so, yeah, they were very serious about doing what they meant to do in the world. And so that was sort of the model for me. And so then when I was in my early 20s, I took my first gig at the Atlantic City Rescue Mission. I worked at a homeless shelter across the street from one of Trump's casinos, which was a little bizarre. And my first gig was I had 100 homeless guys on the floor, and my role was I had to get them into the shower and out of the shower in 3 minutes. So everybody had to take a shower, and half the guys didn't want to shower, but then the other half of the guys didn't want to get out of the shower. So I was like a carnival barker at 23 years old with these, Billy, you have to get out of the shower. I'm going to come in there and get you, and then I'm going to be wet, and you're going to be embarrassed, and so you're like trucking people back and forth.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I felt like over time, sort of developed this sense of calling, as if you call it, around, all right, my role is to sort of help people have places to be that would otherwise be really vulnerable economically. So when I was at Bootstraps, then when I got here, I wasn't on the housing front yet, but I worked thousands of cases, and we had so many challenges with folks at the housing level. So I went back to grad school and learned how to do affordable housing development and finance and stuff I never cared about. I really came from like the social justice kind of faith-based, help people individually part of the game.
Right.
And then accidentally got good at the of finance and developed these things. And I was on the founding board for a couple of groups. Don Preston and I, who really is a local hero, was the North Shore Housing Trust and the Beverly Affordable Housing Coalition. Fast forward, the Beverly Affordable Housing Coalition merged into the North Shore CDC in Salem, and the North Shore Housing Trust, ironically, merged into Harborlight. When I got back, we picked it up and merged it in. So it was a long way from my brother, to sort of Bootstraps to here. It's like, all right, how do we make physical space for people that would be otherwise excluded?
That's incredible.
There you go. That's the quick version.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. And kudos to your parents for showing you such a cool way to exist and live in the world.
Realest of deals, those two.
I love that. Well, for listeners who may not be familiar, could you give us a quick snapshot of what Harborlight Homes does and what are the communities you're serving?
Yeah, so Harborlight Homes is the descendant, many people may know this, of a number of groups, particularly the First Baptist Church. So just around the corner from where we're sitting right now, the First Baptist Church created Harborlight House in downtown Beverly for lower income seniors in the 60s. And a little known fact is they have a congregational polity, kind of like a town meeting vote. And so it's pure democracy, one person, one vote. So they voted to buy these two old houses in downtown Beverly. One of them was the house of the first mayor in Beverly, John Baker. And the vote was 64-60.
Whoa,
so
tight.
Yes. So for Beverly historic folks, they'll remember the minister at the time, whose name was John Wilbur, who was sort of the spiritual and intellectual driver of a lot of this activity. And so he was whipping votes, like going down to the Sunday school classes to get kids up to vote. This is the rumor, to get the 64.
Is that legal?
I don't know. So they won by 4 votes.
Amazing.
And
we won't question it. It was
the
60s.
Yeah. So it was all kinds of things were happening.
Sure.
So so the First Baptist Church created Harborlight House, and we're the descendant of that. But we also are the descendant of, there's a number of other local groups, Home at Last, which was affiliated with the Second Congregational Church in Beverly. We Care About Homes, which was affiliated with Stella Mae Siemens and some of her friends who were trying to create housing, particularly for refugees from Southeast Asia at the time, and then a few other groups. So we're actually a merger of about 9 different groups.
Wow.
We did that about almost 20 years ago to try to steward the legacy of a bunch of smaller groups into one entity that could be durable over time. So we used, at the time, in the beginning, we were 3 elderly buildings, Turtle Creek, Turtle Woods, and Harborlight House, all in Beverly, all that the church did. Now we're in 12 different communities. We have just under 600 housing units, all sorts, seniors, essential workers, people with disabilities, formerly homeless individuals, youth aging out of foster care, and we have housing from Lynn to Gloucester, and sort of have blown that open. So we went through a process to try to become a regional resource on the housing front, and we're really fortunate that that's how it worked out. So we're sort of rolling now. We just finished Anchor Point up by the high school and the Briscoe School with our partners at Beacon, which is now fully occupied.
That's right. What an exciting
Very cool.
Building that
Very
is
cool.
turned into. Yeah.
So we really do four things. We develop affordable housing for people that would be economically vulnerable in the region. We run that housing. We operate it. We do some interesting advocacy and public education at community levels, so with boards of selectmen, city councils, Rotary clubs, any sort of civic level talking about housing. And we do some interesting service work for people that have maybe an additional vulnerability to the income issue. So Harborlight House is lower income seniors that have a lot of frailty.
Right.
And that could be a variety of different people. So that's the four things we do and the places we are.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've been
Wow.
around since the 60s.
That's amazing. You're doing a lot.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for a while now, right? You've been
Me
with
personally?
Harborlight.
Yeah. I will be here 18 years in October.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
huge.
It's crazy.
From one nonprofit person to another, how do you stay motivated and how do you not burn out?
Yeah, the first one is easier than the second one, I think. Motivated, I think, because you feel like you have a really good reason. Like you feel like, okay, these people are dependent on me to get this right, and the region is dependent on us. And I also think we live in a region where it's hard to build sort of the skill and the political will and the economics to actually do this stuff. It's much more likely that nothing would happen, and that areas would be economically and racially homogenous to their detriment.
Right.
And so it feels like a responsibility, like, all right, we really need to do this. So motivation is good. Burnout is tough, right, as you know. It's, I've done better and worse. So sometimes when I'm exercising regularly and sleeping, and it's pretty good, but I've had long stretches where it's pretty burnt.
Yeah. You got to take care of yourself first.
You have to. And I tell my younger colleagues, including yourself, who I meet now, I'm like, it's not like it used to be. You have got to take care of yourself. My mentor and hero, Tom Gifford, who was really the founder of Beverly Bootstraps in a lot of ways, also at First Baptist Church, just passed away last week. He was really quite the model, but the way that things people who were before me did it and the way that we're going to do it are not the same.
Yeah,
So
you have to adapt.
You have to take care of yourself.
And yes, absolutely take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're focusing on Beverly, but really affordable housing seems to be like a huge national conversation right now. So I was wondering, from your perspective, what does affordable housing look like here in Beverly?
Yeah, Beverly's kind of a superstar in the affordable housing world, especially in the last 10 years. Big credit to the council and the planning department and the mayor and even the zoning, the planning boards before them under John Thompson, who's a colleague and a board member. So affordable housing in Beverly is really widespread, right? We have elderly housing, we have family housing, we have housing for homeless families. We really have a lot of different types of housing in a lot of different areas. So when you go around the state, people are Beverly is very well respected for the diversity of housing production we've created. We also are unique, I think, at Beverly because we have these very affluent neighborhoods, very close to much more densely working class neighborhoods, very close to affordable housing neighborhoods. Like we have a variety and everything in the middle.
Right.
It's for a city of 40,000 people with our size, anybody could be here, which is one of the things I really love about it. And we have a history of that back to the shoe. And how the shoe commercially interacted with its workers, and we're the descendant really of that a century before. So it's always been a place that everybody could be economically, and the hope is I think we've done good work as a community to try to make that continue to happen in a way that not every community has.
Right.
So I think Beverly should be proud of itself.
Good. Oh, I love to hear that. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I grew up on the South Shore.
Yeah.
I'm a convert. I've talked about this on the podcast before.
Yes.
I'm now a North Shore person.
Okay, roast beef and all.
Yeah. No, South Shore bar pie is still so much better than North Shore beef. I'm sorry. I'm taking it back.
Touche.
But I moved to Beverly in 2013. My first apartment was literally right around the corner here,
Yep.
behind Worthy Girl, the first little white house.
Yeah, I know which one.
First floor studio apartment.
Yep.
2013, what do you think my rent was?
Oh gosh, it was 2013. It was was it a one bedroom?
It was a studio.
Studio. It was probably, I don't know, 1,300?
It was $675.
You're kidding. I'm obviously
not kidding.
jaded.
It was like the cheapest
That's
rent
awesome.
I have ever seen in my life. It is crazy to me to hear now what rents are looking like.
Yes.
And so I'm just sort of trying to get your perspective, like
Yeah.
what was the landscape of affordable housing looking like when you started at Harborlight,
yep.
and now what does it look like?
Yeah, so what we had before, let's say when I started or even a little before that, is we had a lot of what we would call NOAA, which is an acronym for Naturally Occurring Affordable Housing, which is what you lived in.
Yeah.
Right? So between Cavan and Rantoul, and really, a lot of Gloucester Crossing, which was a lot of employee housing, again, for the shoe, those apartments were generally affordable, right? They matched the income levels of people working class in the area, and it was doable.
Right.
And that worked. But the pressure, the economic pressure of Boston sort of getting more and more developed and successful, if you think about like the seaport before and what it is now,
right,
and the economic pressures and opportunities that made that possible, it's spread out to the North Shore and the South Shore and Metro West. And so it was creating economic pressure because real estate was getting more and more valuable, but zoning controls for creation were tighter, meaning we were as a region producing much less housing after the mid-'80s than we were for the 30 or 40 years before. So supply was not keeping pace with volume of growth and demand, and Boston was doing well. And so the demand level and the supply level were so outmatched that pressure started to get pretty dramatic, and so prices started to go up. But at the time, we had a couple different sorts. We had public housing owned by the Beverly Housing Authority, and we still do, that could work. We had almost no other kind of affordable housing. We did have Apple Village, and we did have Jacqueline Towers and the Fairweather. Those would have been pre-existing.
Yep.
And then we had a number of rooming houses. We don't have as many of those. A couple still left.
Yeah.
Where you could rent for like $90 a week.
Right.
And now it's probably $200 a week, maybe more.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to be, now where you couldn't rent a room in an apartment for less than $1,000 a month now.
Not at all.
And at the time, it was possible. So since then, there's been a number of housing units created. So the Y with the North Shore CDC created some housing over on Gloucester Crossing, and the YMCA revamped and added some housing on Cabot Street. And we've done a number of things. And so there's been new elder and family housing creation in the last, say, 15 years. At a pace we hadn't seen before.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. It's wild. I mean, the changes I've seen, even just from 2013 on Rantoul Street, really anywhere in the city, you kind of point and it's like completely different.
Yes.
So, yeah, we've seen a lot of growth.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, throughout all of that, I think one of my favorite things about Beverly is the community here. It's unlike any other place I've ever lived.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering, what does affordable housing do conceptually to sort of affect like a community feel?
Yeah, I think part of what it does and why and the ways in which we need it is because we're in a situation where part of how the community of Beverly feels the way it does is Beverly has always really been concerned with taking care of Beverly people.
Yeah.
And that struck me when I first started at Bootstraps, how concerned people were in a way I hadn't experienced before. Like, hey, these are Beverly kids or Beverly families, and we need to look out for this. It was really quite wonderful.
Deeply passionate.
Really cool.
Yeah.
But then there was also built in this multi-generational. It was also the only place I've ever been where you could be like, yep, my grandmother lives here, and my aunts live over there, and I live here, and my kids are going to live. Like, people were used to a multi-generational possibility. Mm-hmm. And now I was just in a meeting this morning where people with resources are actively discussing how their children will have no chance to live here.
Oh, that's so sad.
And so part of what I think affordable housing is doing in Beverly and regionally is it's making it possible for two maybe three really important constituencies. It's making it possible for people that work here and provide critical symbiotic needs. So we have people that work at the grocery store, at the post office, in the school system, at the local restaurants, in the daycares, like all of these things that we all really need and realized we need through COVID in a way that we hadn't before. Like the idea of who was essential.
Right.
Became much more broad. And so all of those folks, if the businesses want to thrive, people have to have a place to work. And part of what affordable housing does is it creates housing for the workforce in the way, in some ways, that Cummings did, not Cummings, the shoe did.
Yeah, right.
100 years ago.
Yeah.
They knew we have to make housing for our workers so we can create this machinery. It's the same logic, just in a different day. So affordable housing is creating housing for the workforce. It's also creating possibilities for people's children to stay in the area, which everybody wants, and it's part of our DNA. And it's creating the possibility for our elderly residents who help make the community to also be able to stay. So people are moving into Briscoe who went to school there, right, and living in that
so cool.
building. Very cool,
Yeah,
right?
that's very cool.
Especially if they're able to stay in the community that they grew up in, and now they're the older part of the generational mix. They get to stay close by. We hear a lot of, I'm trying to help so my mother, my aunt, somebody can stay close by, meaning that families are going to care for each other based on proximity. So I think that's what affordable housing is doing, is it's allowing the legacy of multi-generational symbiotic relationships and worker business symbiotic relationships to continue to thrive. I don't know that we thought about it that way, like, hey, we're going to do this now, so this will work. But we've been doing it that way since 1900, right, or before, and I think in the last, say, 20 years, we've said, oh, we have to, like, we're losing ground on this in a way maybe we didn't think we ever would, and we're having to be more intentional about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And
You're welcome.
I'm glad you used the word legacy, because that is in my next question.
There you go. Let's do it.
But we're coming up on our 400th year. Clearly
So
a legacy
exciting.
in our own right.
Yes.
We're starting to think about what our history has looked like to date and what it's going to look like moving forward.
Yep.
And I have to assume that in your work, in the time that you've put in with Harborlight, you're also considering the legacy that Harborlight is leaving on the community, that you yourself are leaving with Harborlight. Like, what does that all look like to you? What does that feel like?
Yeah, I love Beverly, and I really have been deeply grateful to be part of the city and part of the community, and I've been excited about the 400th coming up. I have 3 kids graduating successively, so I've had 2 that have graduated, but I knew my number 3 was graduating in 26.
Oh boy!
And so I was always excited about the idea that she would graduate in the 400th year.
That's awesome.
So I'm glad about that.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what's happening.
Yeah, big year for everybody.
Big year for everybody. So I just think it's such a great place, and I think there's so many people that are proud to have taken part in making it great. And there's yet, it feels like to me, with the history we've had and so much good, and the history we've all been a part of, where there have been difficult things that I think, like, the Beverly Historic Society is doing a good job acknowledging and helping us educate through. I think there's so much still potential for what's coming next. So it's this interesting celebration of, I'm so proud of what people did to help us get here, and I'm so excited about what people are going to do to help us get this next level.
Yeah.
And there's so much good about Beverly that I think is still can still be grown and blossoms.
Definitely.
The way our waterfront is handled, our downtown, the way people are knowing about it, the history. I just think there's a lot. There's a lot of great things.
We have a lot here,
We have
and
a lot
we're
here.
no longer the hidden gem. I think we're just a gem.
That's right. We're just a gem. We're going to be a braggy gem, maybe.
Ooh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Well, speaking of,
Yes.
what do you love most about Beverly?
Oh, good question. I think I love, Paul Gentili probably wants me to say the beer, which I do love the beer.
We have quite the brewery scene.
We have quite the brewer scene.
Yeah.
I love the water because it's a ballast, it's like a spiritual and emotional ballast, and so the breadth of water. But I think if I had to pick, I think it's the fact, when I first got to Beverly, I remember I felt calmer because it felt like a place I could understand better. I think the idea that everybody could be here, and that it's a community that's, I alluded to it earlier.
Yeah.
Race, economics, like there's spaces in Beverly for all kinds of people to be and still feel like they're Beverly people.
Definitely.
Where there are a lot of communities that are a little more homogenous in that way, and it's a little more myopic, I think. So I appreciate kind of the intellectual, spiritual, cultural breadth, as it were, of Beverly.
I love that. Yeah.
And the chance that everybody can participate. I think we can build. I think that can be better. I think it's better now than it was 10 years ago, and better than 20.
Sure.
And I think it continue to be better.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I love the most about it is it's the fact that it can be inclusive and people can have a legitimate spot.
Yeah, I love that, and it's funny because I've felt the same way. I mean, I moved here 12, 13, 14 years ago, whatever. But I didn't grow up here, and I feel like there is also that angle of like, oh, you're not a townie, you haven't been here this whole time.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
you're right. You
Yes.
can still be a part of the community. It is a very welcoming place, and there's pockets for everybody.
Exactly.
And that's pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome and
Yeah.
rare.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's borne out by the fact that like people want to stay.
Yeah.
Like it's not the kind of place where I grew up. It was sort of like, oh my gosh, when can I
Get
out of here?
yeah,
Right.
same.
It's not that kind. People are like they want to stay.
Yeah, well,
kinda
it's a
cool.
good place to be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. And then what is your ideal Beverly day?
Oof.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
That's a good question. I'm up early. I'm probably at the gym, so I'm probably at the Sterling Center early. So I like to, if I can get there before it gets dark, before it gets light.
Oh.
I feel successful.
You're like really early.
Really early.
Jeez,
Get there really
okay.
early, and then I'm back. If I was picking the whole day, like
This is your day.
All right, I would probably go to the Anchor for breakfast.
Nice.
And I'd probably hang out by the water, maybe Independence, under the big pine tree, and read a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is, of course, assuming I'm not watching the kids in some way.
No, this is your day. You can do whatever you want.
So, and then I'm walking the length of Lothrop, and I'm probably going to Salerno's for lunch.
Nice.
Listening to the guys chatter.
Of course.
It's funny how it's food related. I'm
I
not sure
feel
what,
like that's okay.
Yeah, I might go back to the Anchor for dinner. I don't know. It depends on the day.
Amazing.
Toscana's. No, I would go to Toscana's for
Ooh,
dinner.
oh my God, I
Yes.
love Toscana.
Take my wife there. That's a date.
Very nice.
Yeah, and probably the Atomic somewhere in the afternoon to have some coffee and yuck it up with some folks and read for a while. Maybe get
Perfect.
a new book at Copper Dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
There
sounds
you
pretty.
go. It's a great day.
It's a pretty good day.
I love it.
Thank you.
Well, Andrew, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Delightful.
If folks are interested in learning more about Harborlight, or if they want to volunteer or
Sure.
donate or do any of those things that you do with nonprofits,
Yep.
where can they find information?
Yeah, so they could do harborlighthomes.org on the website. We're obviously also on Facebook, Instagram, all the things.
All
so
the
they're
things.
welcome to go there too. But if you go to the website, and you can email or call. Based on that, we would be delighted to know you and meet you. And also, if people are looking to apply for housing, there's applications on there as well.
Awesome.
Happy to do that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been really interesting and fun. And yeah, we will be back next month. I have no idea who our guest will be, so it'll be a surprise yet again. But thank you all for listening.
Shout out to the 400th committee.
Yeah,
Appreciate
happy
you all.
400th. It's coming up 3 months. We'll talk to you next month. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.